Hello, today I'd like to show you how I turn these into this. This is something that I've been wanting to do for quite a while, and when I mentioned it to some of my arty friends, they all showed me the books that they'd made out of toilet paper rolls. And at around the same time, we had a discussion about something called 6-word stories. So I have combined the two, and I have to tell you something that thinking about this project took way more time and effort than actually making the book itself. And I have to say, I wonder how many of those other things that I've been thinking about making for months, years in some cases, I could actually get out of my head and off my plate if I just went ahead and made them. maybe I should do that more. Anyway, let me show you how I made the toilet paper roll book and some 6-word stories. I've used a few toilet paper rolls in my art in the last year or so. Most recently, yesterday, when I used this one that's very painty here to print on some fabric that I was using for another project. And I thought that before I used up all these other toilet paper rolls that I've been saving, this would be a good time for me to make the thing that I've been saving them for, i.e. this little book. Since I was planning to make a 6-word story, I started out with 6 toilet paper rolls and flattened them all out. I decided to use some printed papers that I had made a long time ago to cover them up, mainly because I have a lot of these sort of honeycomb looking papers that I felt like I needed to make at some point, and I should use them up. So I'm just going to glue the papers around each of my toilet paper rolls. The ends of the toilet paper roll that are going to be overlapping, I've torn them so that the edges will disappear as they overlap rather than having a hard cut edge. And one of the things that you'll notice when you tear paper, sometimes there's a white, or in this case, because I'm using yellow paper, a yellow edge that shows up on one side and not on the other side. Now the trick is the piece that's tearing towards you does not get that line from the color of the paper underneath. So I don't want that line here, so I'm making sure that I'm tearing forward so that the big part of the paper is not going to have that visible edge on it. I decided to put the glue on the paper first rather than on the toilet paper roll, and then I'm folding the edges over into the inside of the roll. And I don't know if that was necessary or not, but to me it's easier than cutting them and having a raw edge. Now when I've got them all covered, the next step that I'm going to do is I'm going to write out my 6-word story. And this isn't the story that I started with. This is a slightly different version than the story that I started with. But what I realized was that I could make this 6-word story out of words that each have 6 letters, and I'll tell you why I did that in a minute. So after I'd written out my story, my 6 words, just in my normal handwriting, and I hear artists say this all the time, oh, I don't like my handwriting. Well, I don't have fantastic calligraphy-like handwriting either. But it's my handwriting, just like it's me. It's personal, it's wobbly, it's wonky, it's lumpy, and I choose to celebrate that about my handwriting, just like I choose to celebrate all my lumps and bumps on my body. And I to make my writing look a little bit fancier, I did thicken up some of the lines, and because I'm left-handed, it's hard for me to do regular calligraphy. It just doesn't work with the way that I hold a pen, but I can do faux calligraphy by thickening up some of the lines. And I also used a gel pen to decorate the words a little bit more. And then I attach the toilet paper rolls together. Now, in hindsight, I think it would have made more sense to attach the toilet paper rolls together before I put the words on, because doing it this way around, I had to constantly check that the words were in the right orientation when I attached the rolls together. And I quite liked the way that this worked out. However, it was rather fiddly to get all the duct tape into the spaces. And I've edited out the parts that I struggled with, so it looks like it's easy, but trust me, some of them were a little bit more fiddly than others. But there you go. Live and learn. Now, as I mentioned, these are tubes that have an opening in the middle, so I can put something in the opening of all of those toilet paper tubes. So I've made a series of tags using this gold foil cardstock that I have. That was a nice weight to make tags. The next thing I did was I wrote out each of the words on the tags, and then I wrote a 6-word, well, I wouldn't call it a story, a 6-word phrase. Well, let's call them statements rather than stories. And each of the words in the statement started with the letters that were in the initial word that was on the cover of that particular tag. And here are the statements. Global, growing lettuce on balconies, another luxury. Crisis, children remain indoors, school is shut. People, perhaps extroverts only prefer large events. Gather, getting around the house, excitement reimagined. And I had actually a different one. Going around together has ended recently, but that one didn't make it onto the book. Toilet, to only imagine lazy evenings together. And tissue. Talking in some situations unifies everything. And that's it. That is my little book, my little toilet paper book. I hope you enjoyed watching me make this, and maybe you'll make one of your own one day. I'd love to see it if you do. Thanks for watching. See you again soon.